All right, today's guest is digital anarchist turned into AI architect, a man whose career defies every convention. Christopher isn't just a senior architect at Sweden AI innovator, mainly AI, but he's former Prince of Pirates, which the Pirate Party of the Sweden, and a Cold War military era analyst for the Swedish Armed Forces as well, and 10-year Oracle veteran who survived the Sun Microsystem acquisition. From writing C++ for databases in early 2000s to securing enterprise systems and now designing AI first architectures, Christopher bridges old school engineering rigor and AI disruptive frontier. He's witnessed tech evolution from server room to LLM and carries the hacker ethos of transparency into boredoms. So we'll explore how political rebellion shapes AI architecture, why military threat modeling matters for generative AI, and what disruption truly means after 30 years in tech's trenches. If you have ever wondered how a master of disruption builds the future, buckle up. Christopher, welcome to the show. Now, I'll I'll start from the master of the disruption in the pirate party from 2004 to 11 to senior AI architect. How did political activism shape your tech philosophy?
So we were opening with the politics then, not machine learning or AI. Yeah, sure. No, the Pirate Party was to like coming home, I would say. It was a sensation of having all the pieces of the puzzle just match up and understanding the political landscape. I think the Pirate Party is a cooking pot where you can take all the political ideas and stir them and try them and figure out what is the future of politics, how can we build a better democracy, and how can we start thinking out of the box. So it really shaped uh, my life from that point. I'm really grateful for being a part of that, for meeting the people that exist in the Pirate Party, and and the fringe groups, like the Pirate Bay and things like that. Very inspiring, um, very inspiring people.
Right. Your career spans from military analysis, like Swedish Armed Forces, to open source programming, MySQL, and corporate engineering at Oracle. So, what connects these seemingly disparate worlds?
Chance, I suppose. It's not that I design my life. Life is like a storm, and you are just a little boat riding the waves, trying to keep your chin above the water. I don't pretend to have control, but I try to enjoy the chaos.
That's really amazing thing about life, right? Because if you try to have the control of everything that's going around, then you'll be always in the pain agony about all the things. And when you just try not to have control of it all, then suddenly things tend to fall into place. Like that's something Marcus Aurelius, or yeah, I think Marcus Aurelius said. So that is really amazing way to look at a life. So how does the Prince of Pirate mindset influence your approach to system architecture today, or any like those aspects of your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I'm a bit unconventional when it comes to system architecture and computer science. I like to rebel against known patterns, but ironically, I talk a lot about architecture and patterns and how it should be. But in truth, when it comes to implementation, I'm really pragmatic. But that has been phases too. When I joined MySQL development, for example, for lots of years ago, I was into Java development, and Java came with a bunch of patterns, and they were like a holy grail of how to design systems. And then I encountered a large code base of organic C code and C++ code, and everything went out the window. And I quickly realized that the only way to survive in such a landscape and doing something meaningful is to kind of think out of the box and embrace the chaos and just stake out your own place in that code base and work from there. And it gives you a pragmatic, holistic view of coding and logic and how things fit together and where errors happens, which is perhaps not rooted in any
Right.
fundamental theory. At the same time, knowing about that theory, knowing about the perfect way to design and all the buzzwords is part of the compass, right? So even if you're lost and nothing compares to what it should do in from the school books, you still have some use for knowing what order would look like, and you learn from it and you make compromises. I
Completely.
would say that joining MySQL was the first revelation where my logic absolute world broke down. The second one was when I met Monica Anderson, who was an employee of Google and was kind of a great influencer on my philosophy. She taught about the holistic way of solving AI, and she has a bunch of videos that I really recommend people to look out and investigate. And
Right. At
yeah,
mainly, right.
no, continue. Sorry,
At
I'm rambling.
mainly AI, you design systems where machine learning is core. So, what unique architecture patterns does this demand versus traditional software?
Yeah, I didn't get a question. Please try again.
Right, yeah, yeah. So at mainly AI, you design systems where machine learning is the core. So what unique architecture patterns does this demand versus the traditional software?
Right, yeah. So we're building our system on Terraform and Kubernetes. And on top of that, we have web servers that communicate with a central database, a MySQL database. And it uses Python for building. It's basically a Python engine. And we're using Python libraries for doing machine learning in it. So that's a pretty traditional stack. Try to keep it tight, not to have too many independent components, trying to solve things within the realms of the database, so it's easy to move. Our first ideas was that the entire product would be something that we could sell in a box and install on premise, for example. And now we're leaning more towards the online cloud infrastructure, and we'll see where it lands. But keeping it tight has been important because we are not that many developers, so we don't need to know so much about everything. Yeah, so that's the philosophy concerning that.
Right, yeah. Because iterating and applying the thing is like much better than just trying to learn all the theory. That's what I came across as well. So that is like really amazing approach to approach the things. So you have been there since
Yeah,
like near ponding.
wouldn't say the theory is unimportant, right?
Oh,
Uh,
right, yeah, completely.
it would be like the part of the compass. So when you're faced with chaos, you need to know how to organize it. It might not turn out like the perfect image that you would find in your theory books, but you would still need to approach it in some way. So I think
Completely.
that's how we should relate to the theory about architecture and things like this.
Completely. So how has the role evolved as AI Hive exploded? So what is the biggest technical surprises that you have come across?
Hmm. Yeah, well, sounds. I haven't really been that surprised. The biggest surprise was when I met Monica Anderson and she told me how AI would evolve. And I think this woman is just incredible when it comes to intuition on how AI would evolve. So she basically prepared me for the entire transformer development stuff. Shortly after meeting her, I created this Oracle Neural Interest Group in Oracle, where we kind of gathered a cross team of interested engineers and combined the Sun Advanced Lab and the Sun Lab that became Oracle Lab, and had this interest group where we talked about the future, hooking into her theories. So we were pretty well prepared for when the changes came. Perhaps when you think it's going to go fast, like we think AI is happening tomorrow, and it isn't. It's like take 10 years before something happens. And then you think it's going to settle down, it's going to be slow. Now we have AI, now we can enjoy that. And then suddenly it takes another leap, and that you're not prepared for. So I guess the timing really surprises me, I guess. When I think
Right.
AI is about to happen, nothing happens for 10 years. And when
Right.
it finally happens, then it happens
Right.
much faster than I thought it would.
Completely, because the research has been like taking place since like 1960s or something. The neural network is not new thing. Like people have been working on the neural network since like 1960s. Then they have given up on the complete idea of whole thing will work until like 1980s or something. Until some people again made it work. Then basic convolutional neural network came into place, and then right now things are like working. So it is all about like scientific discoveries is the things will just one day like it will feel like in the night, only one night things are coming directly, things are exploding, but that's not the case, right? Like it has been years of the research behind all the things that has been going on, and the AI is, I think, similar thing. So what do you think about the dot-com bubble burst? Because you have been in through that, and a lot of people are connecting that to the AI burst right now. So what is your opinion on that?
No, I think it's very different. So .com was um, in um, yeah, I think that the feeling from the market feels completely different. During .com, there were a lot of startups, and there were a lot of companies moving into the internet realm, um, and they were making business. And the AI seemed to be consumer oriented rather than business to business oriented, which I think is a huge difference. I don't think consumerism will sustain the very large investment people have done. So my bet is that we're still waiting for the big boom of AI to happen. What we're seeing now is just the first little wave of where consumers are experimenting with AI applications on their desktop. And we haven't even seen the enterprise moving into this realm yet. So it's a different scale. Internet was small compared to what's happening here. Yeah, I think that's how I feel about it.
Right.
But internet was immense. It changed our lives, changed how people made business, how they designed the companies, etc. It's minuscule. It's tiny compared to the immense impact of AI. And I don't even think we've entered the change yet. This is just the beginning where we
Exactly.
play around on our desktops.
Yeah. There is like reinforcement learning is not even as better as it can be in the future. It is just the beginning. And all the things we are just experiencing, they're just supervised learning, and they're just the things basic. Like it hasn't surpassed the human intelligence yet. The main magic
Well,
will feel
that even if we disregard whether AI is really AI or if it's really intelligence or whatever, it doesn't
right.
matter, because the application of what we have now, regardless of what label we put on it, has mass implications for everything. AI is not just one thing, it's everything. and it changes the perspective of how we organize ourselves. And internet was just another channel, another way of communicating. AI is another way of doing things. So I think it's a different revolution, and it's much larger than the internet.
Completely. That's completely the thing. So what do you think about the security world when the AI open source things are happening? So security lead experience at Oracle plus AI architecture. Do you think security in the open AI systems is the thing?
I think the reason that enterprises hesitate is because security concerns, because change is happening too fast and they don't know what to trust. I think that we already have the technology and theory about how to build these systems secure, but it will take time to make people trust in them. I think open source is here to stay. I think it's an important part of how we bring transparency and credibility to software projects. Yeah, not
Right.
very deep, I suppose, but
Right. March 2021 role, your profile shows that mainly AI was pivot something. So what was that thing?
we pivoted, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Right. Yeah.
I was recruited by the founders of Mainly.AI, and they had slightly different ideas of what we were going to do, and we tried those things, but then, as most startups, not everything you try succeeds. But while trying things, we picked up on the narrative that we found was really strong. And the way we see it is that humans need trust to organize, right?
Right.
And we can gain trust by sharing risks. And that's why we would employ humans and not AI, because we don't understand how AIs view risk. They don't have any stake. And so you
Right.
can't really trust them. So you have to build organizations on people you trust and share your risks. And when you are having a computer writing your code, which obviously it should if it can do it better, and it's part of the automation, that's how we're going to use them. How would you trust what it's coding? How would you understand what it's coding? You could have another AI describe it to you, but all of that takes time, and time is the finite resource. So you need to have other people that you trust on a fundamental level, because you share the same risks. You are both human. You live on the same planet. You drink the same water, etc. And you can say that, okay, we sit in the same boat. We have the same goals. Thus, we share the same risks. I'm going to allow you to use AI to monitor my AI so it's doing the correct thing. And that's how you're going to build these organizations. It's very similar to how we build today, but it's going to be like the tools we're going to use are, of course, AIs. But it's going to be risk-based. The organization are going to grow based on risks and risk management. And in Mainly AI, we're trying to look at the approach to talking to AI as an interface problem, a UX problem, basically. And
Right.
you cannot understand a large, continuously evolving code base unless you're finding some way to simplify it for the human brain. And one way of simplifying it that has been tried on some really successful software like Unreal and Blender is node-based flows. So we designed a system that would build, that would restrict the problem of designing certain kinds of software. We're not trying to build a system that can solve all problems, but we want to build a system that can solve problems and communicate problems within the domain of machine learning and AI patterns.
Right.
And by doing that simplification, we can also create pre-made patterns and high-level graphical interfaces that communicate how these systems are built and work. And that will offload the humans monitoring and taking responsibility, so that all the AI coding can be compartmentalized in a single box. And that's kind of the philosophy, to offload humans while keeping the control of the AI coding. So we call it grounded vibing. That is, you build your graph on a very high level, that's the grounding, and then you start vibing the boxes to kind of implement what it should. But the AI never escape those boxes, because there are interfaces that you already defined, and you kind of control the evolution of that program from a simple graph point of view.
Completely.
So, and I mean, programming languages has always been about simplifying for humans. How do you avoid writing so much code? How do you create domain-specific APIs? And how do you make it easy for humans to just very quickly read what you see on screen and then understand what you should do? And I think the graphical interface is superior to interpreting characters on a screen. So if you can find a good bridge where you use graphical interfaces like graphs, while not blocking your ability to write character level code, that would be the optimal solution. And that's what
Right.
we're trying to do.
Completely.
But not for every domain, but specifically for machine learning and AI related domains.
Right.
See where we go
So
from there.
Right. So when it comes to writing code, a lot of people who are just entering the technical domain, they are thinking that AI can make their code writing easy and they don't have to learn how to code. What do you think about that? Because you come from the era when AI was not a thing and we had to learn to code and learn like logic development by ourselves. So what
Yeah,
do you think about that, and
there's no
what
shortcut
will you
to
tell those
knowledge.
people?
There's no
Right.
shortcut to knowledge. You have
Exactly.
to know things. And that takes time. What we can focus on is helping humans to learn things and to trust things. And I think that's where we should put the work and effort. And that's why we're trying to put the work and effort in Mainly.AI as good as we can. Even if the computer is going to write the code, someone needs to take responsibility for it, for how could you serve other customers. And even if you try the recursive argument that some other AI is going to look at it, in the bottom of that stack of stacked turtle AIs, the real question is, whom am I serving? Am I serving humanity? Am I serving myself? Am I serving my community? And that's a question of risks. Are we sitting in the same
Right.
boat? Are we drinking the same water? Are we loving the same things? And that's what's breaking
Right.
that stacking of turtles. That you cannot trust AI to monitor AIs. Somewhere there needs to be a human that says, this is the mutual risk that we are working together to make this planet a better place to live in. Right?
Right.
And it's about caring about other people, ultimately. It sounds
Completely.
a bit buzzwordy, but when you think about it, what can we automate away? What can we liberate humanity from? There are certain aspects of humanity we cannot escape that makes us human, right?
Right.
And that's what we need to focus on when AI comes and
Completely.
starts to make everything better than we do.
Right. So you have been like working in C++ programming, then until you progress to the security lead. So what lesson from the old systems inform your AI work today?
How to digest that. I think all security systems, I think there is no secure system. No, there's no like box that cannot be unboxed. And again, it is rooted in risk. So I come back to that. So if you want a secure system, you need to have different people managing different parts of your system. The security model of Mainly.AI is that we have a security role for the database. We have a security role for the web part and one for the underlying infrastructure. And these have interfaces where they communicate, and these three security people needs to be agree on what is going to happen. And it's their sharing of risks that uphold the security for the entire system, that they agree. If a single person had the key, then that person would be the vulnerable person, and he could lose that key and the entire enterprise could fail. So you need to structure your code in such a way that you can delegate aspects of security, aspects of risks to different people wearing different hats that don't share information, and think of the whole picture from their point of view. Make sense?
Right. So you survived Oracle's, yeah, you survived Oracle's acquisition from Sun in 2010. So how did that cultural and technical collision impacted your view of technical ecosystems?
Oh, I'm going to piss off a lot of people probably, but I think Oracle is the superior company. Sun was disorganized and weird. I think Oracle is very disciplined, is led by some of the most remarkable person I know of. Safra Katz is just incredible. And it's like a very well-oiled machine with very intelligent people. So having, yeah, it was a great revelation to experience Oracle. And I also had the benefit of experiencing it when it was going through a change. So all, even big, large corporations need to shed their armor sometimes. And Oracle went from a business-to-business kind of organization where they communicated through committees, basically. They had a large sales group that met another large sales group, and they found out what they should do, to something which was much more consumer-oriented with this cloud services. It became more of a service companies, I suppose. And that change was exposing all the mechanics of Oracle. And that was exciting to watch. It was exciting to see how transparently they acted and how honestly they acted. Then you can of course have opinions about the American culture of driving companies and how devoid of conscience they can be when they fire people or when they make organizations, and at the end of the day there are a few top boys that own everything, and that's the weakness of that organization. But apart from that, it's really, really well made.
Right. So what do you think about the working in the United States in the technical field versus working in anywhere in Europe?
I love the Nordic way of looking at organizations. I think we are more aware of that we're sitting in the same boat. We want to build a team of people who enjoy themselves, basically.
Right.
And our organizations tend to be a lot more flatter than US organizations. And that works better for me. Yeah, and I think Nordic employees are generally more honest and happier.
Right. Yeah, that's all that matters. That you are enjoying the work you're doing, and everyone is in the same boat, and everyone is working towards the similar goal. That's the best thing that is you can have in the community. So yeah, that's perfect thing. So what's one legacy system practice we should never carry into our AI era? What do you think about that?
Hmm. Mm, I think um, I think everything is changing right now. It would be I can't point at anything from the practices we used to get here were used because we had to. So I can't really point at something and say that was completely unnecessary. Everyone who used that was stupid. Um, so everything is connected, and sometimes you do it one way, and then you have to do it another way. If you look at computer languages, the rootkit for the C++ object-oriented thing was so important. Everyone was building these classes and following these patterns. And suddenly there was aspect-oriented programming, and then there were template-oriented programming, and etc., etc. So that all of these are stepping stones that brings us into where we are. Um, so and so the programming language is an example of what it could sound like. But there are these practices in every field, I think. And right now, I think everything is in change because of AI. But I can't point at anything and saying that's not needed anymore. I think everyone is in a kind of state of confusion of how to fit into this new world. But that makes it also a bit exciting to be part of, right? It must be how people felt in the beginning of the century when machines started to do things that they couldn't do before, right?
Right, yeah. So recently there is like a really mass layoff. People are fire, a lot of companies are firing a lot of people. So do you think that is the reason is solely going to be only advancement in AI, and the people are getting replaced with AI?
No,
Should people get scared about that?
yeah, at first I thought that this would be the case, that less and less people were going to be needed. But then I realized that we're not organizing ourselves based on what needs to be done, but how we manage risk. So there are a lot of very rich people living very secure lives that don't work. At least not as hard as people usually work on this planet. But they think they work, obviously. Uh, and it's about how they organize. It's not about what they do.
Right,
And I think that's an important part that needs to be reflected on. So
completely.
prosperity in general, prosperity for anyone, is about getting cheap energy and raw material and use it in
Right.
efficient automation with the intention to eliminate the need to do the same thing tomorrow, so that we get more time to do research, to explore things, or just to have fun.
Right, completely. What do you think the landscape of the research in the AI is right now? What do you think about that?
Oh, I find it's extremely um, exciting. It's really exciting, and it's not one path, right? There's like
Right.
20 different paths for how the next generation AI would look like. Everything
Right.
from liquid concept spaces to state machines to, I mean, there are so many ways, and even the hardware is changing. So there are now chips that communicate with light that just changes everything. So it's
Exactly.
really exciting. I don't have the knowledge to say that this is the direction that we should all move in. I'm just trying to
Right.
focus on my little tiny startup here, and and see how would I be able to manage all this complexity, all these choices from a human point of view. I think a lot more work needs to be done in user experience in order to simplify for humans to understand the vast changes that are coming.
Right. Because the advancement in the new chips and new computational powers is really amazing and exciting, because the power of computation that we used to have and we now have, that is like completely different. They have the power that can compute like literally thousands of years of computation in literally like 5 10 minutes, and that is really amazing. So
It is,
that's
yes.
like a literally uh, amazing time to be living as technical world. So
I think there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic and stay optimistic, even though the
right,
world is kind of shaking and there are things going on that's not really optimal. Um,
completely.
I think that we are in a better place now as the entire humanity than we've ever been, and that we are ready to kind of cross the border to the stars, and that will happen. So I look
Completely.
very optimistically on the future, and I think we're about to enter a paradise, but it might be a bit shaky getting there.
Yeah, maybe because a lot of people are going through this fear that our jobs will be not there and how are we going to survive and all. But I think just like every revolution, jobs will just get changed. Like the way jobs are, that's only going to change. I don't think jobs are going to get replaced, or people are not going to have employment as such. What do you think about that? Because that's all happened, like
No,
all in revolutions,
you're
industrial,
completely
all that.
right. I don't think people will lose. There will be job opportunities. There are infinite amount of work that needs to be done, so jobs
Exactly.
will not go away. But the job opportunity will look differently, and but it will be built around the same principle, which is not that you are special or that you contribute with something that no one else can, but rather more that you are human, you are kind, and you understand the shared risk that a company tries to navigate.
Right.
And when you are working with that sentiment that I'm not really that important, it's that I understand my place as a human and how I can work with others. That's the important part, and that's what
Completely.
everyone should focus on, I think.
That's a
Um,
really big thing. And just realizing and understanding what that means, that's really amazing. Because when you look in the sky and when you understand you're just mere speck of dust in comparison to all the cosmos and all things are happening, you change the way you think, and that is really amazing way to look at everything in life. So when you do that, things start to seem like everything seems optimistic, and everything seems like that is not even the difficult parts in the lives are going to be like they're going to be coming, they're going to go, they're going to pass, maybe things are going to get better. So yeah, you just develop the like the way to think that will not be too much, maybe making you sad in certain ways, mostly like not emotionally react you to a lot of things. So yeah, that's a really amazing way to look at the things. So what is your advice to young people who are coming into the technical domain in any like any job spaces,
be
like
curious. Be
that's
curious.
all.
Yeah.
Right. So, what is underrated skill for AI architects?
What is
Underrated skill for AI architects. Is it
mm,
C++ into depth, or today's Python-centric machine learning?
um, right? Yeah, I mean, you have to do the work, right? If you want to contribute to new machine learning algorithms, you must know the math. You must know what other people did before, and you must have a curiosity to why they did it and how they're going, why they made the choices that they did. And that's a lot of hard work. So you shouldn't be afraid of doing that hard work. and you should try to keep yourself motivated. I think that's the core skill, right? You must
Right.
be curious, and then you must be motivated to do the hard work that it takes to learn new things. And
Completely.
being an AI architect, and I certainly wouldn't say that I'm an AI architect compared to people who design transformers, right? I build a tool with UX focus on how to deal with that technology. But I have some insight in how to build machine learning models, and it's really difficult.
Completely.
And you need to take the time to understand the math, and you need the time to understand that it takes a lot of time to do those things.
Completely. Just to understand how the logistic regression works or even gradient descent, all that are really like basic pillars, which are, if you don't understand those, then no matter how tutorials you watch, it will be just like you're not going to understand the terms even. So, yeah,
Yep.
that is something that a lot of people should more focus on, to learn basics first and then go into more advanced kind of things. Because normally, when people are trying to transition into AI space, they are trying to directly build their own models without understanding any of the basic things which are below the surface, and then they go into a lot of problems. They go into bugs that they don't understand, and they just get stuck for like days, weeks, and that's, I think, they should more focus on more basics.
Sure, but I don't want to come across as someone who says just work harder. But I mean, it's a skill to work hard. I think the focus should be on staying curious, to find the joy of that path, because there's no ceiling. It can be how
Right.
hard as you can possibly imagine, and
Right.
to voyage on this journey can be terrifying, and it can
Completely.
kind of break you. So I think one should be aware that it's difficult, but still embrace the journey. Um,
Completely. So mostly people should focus more on not just going ahead and just working as hard as they possibly can, but morely on making themselves more curious about how things are. Because I think mostly that is the thing that's going to help them in the future, and even all in all the journey, which is really difficult. Because like no matter how hard person thinks that he can work, if he's curious and he's enjoying the process, then that work will not even feel difficult to him. Like that is not going to be like even hard work.
no,
So
it will be
that's,
life, right? It will be life
yeah,
that you enjoy, and
yeah,
that's the important part. You're not
that's the
here
important part.
for a very long time, so you
Exactly.
should at least have some fun.
Exactly, exactly. Or the life will look like just the hard. Like if you're not liking that, then that's not going to look good for you. Like that is literally suffering for all the time. You're going to force yourself into something that you don't want to do or
Mm,
something. So yeah, mostly
absolutely.
people in the times of AI, I think people should try to learn to find their curiosity and the way that they enjoy something that they do, and I think that will make them so good at their craft or their knowledge that they should be good.
I agree. I agree. That's a very important part.
Right. So looking ahead, what keeps you awake about AI's evolution? Excitement versus dread.
Oh, the dread. Uh, I think I went through all my existential anxiety in the late 80s, doing the ghost in the shell thing. But um, the vast dark universe around us, I think there's still room for some existential dread. Um, but I think getting comfortable with um, with yourself not being important is is really important for staying alive, I think. And AI will tell us a lot about what it means to be human, what it means to think, what it means to feel. And those discoveries can be terrifying if you don't have the habit of kind of looking at yourself from the outside. Right.
That's really amazing way. So, can you dive deep into the looking at yourself from outside?
No, I don't know. I'm not really a good teacher in philosophy or psychology here, but I can only think about the challenges I had myself when approaching artificial intelligence and what it means to observe something behaving as intelligent or more intelligent than you, but still not being alive. What does that mean for free will? What does that mean for your identity and the things that you value? What does it mean when you lose someone that is dear to you, that everyone sooner or later will have to go through? And finding an answer there is not easy. For me, I tried religion, and being from the Nordic countries, I started to lean on the faith of the Norse, and from there I'm picking stories and finding narratives that can sustain me in the light of discovering how intelligence emerges from machines. But I think it's a personal journey that everyone has to go through on their own. I'm not in a place to put or give advice on how to deal with that. But it's kind of an eye of the needle, I think, for some people.
Completely. I personally think having someone to care about and uh, help, or having family, that is like big one, like which can keep you uh, safe from all the dread. Like that is lot of researchers have been through the same thing, and what they found is having family, having kids is the like normal solution that a lot of humans have been going through history just to tackle this existential dread. And
Yeah,
the similar
right.
thing is going to be
Learning to love someone other than yourself, I think, is a very important scheme,
exactly.
and that happens when you get a kid usually. That you start
Yeah,
to love someone more than yourself, and that's a gateway to looking at yourself from the outside as well.
right.
So I think it's an important part, but not everyone wants to have kids. Not everyone can have
Yeah,
kids. So um, yeah, it's a personal journey.
completely. So what is most overhyped AI trend that you think about right now these days?
Yeah, I think there are plenty, but I don't want to point at anyone. I think there are more exciting things that will change our world, and it is changing our world really quickly. So better to look at those than to point fingers.
Right. What is one tech tool you can't work without, or you'll not live without?
One technical
Tech
thing.
tool. Yeah.
Yeah, tech tool. Right now I'm working with several LLMs, and I can't really. It's like replaced Google for me. So now and I've replaced Stack Overflow. So
Right.
I'm always chatting to some LLM to kind of bouncing my ideas and refining my code or understanding my own strategies. Um, Basically having it to review my actions to see if
Right.
there's something I can do better. And it would be really tough to go back and not be able to use an LLM at this point. That would feel empty, I think.
Right.
because it gives you so much power and control compared to what you had before. And that, yeah, that would be hard. But of course, people were happy before LLMs. I lived in that world, so it would be possible.
Completely. It will be completely different world. Like the people who are going to be born after the AI era, like after the LLMs are a thing, the world definition of world will be completely different for them in compared to what it was for people who were before that.
Yeah,
Because things are changing so rapidly. Things are coming like daily. Something you wake up, you see something new is coming. You wake up, you see like you can generate your own videos now in the cinematic quality, and that will not even like feel like it is generated by AI. And a lot of different things, a lot of amazing things are coming, and yeah, it's
to
exciting
put
world.
a word on one of those risks, I think hyper reality is a severe risk, where people
Right,
see fake reality as more natural than the real reality.
right,
So it happens to me too for some things. I know when they were showing off some of the new robots, I was complaining about the shading of the robot, that it didn't look realistic. That
right,
in fact it wasn't a 3D animation, it was a real robot. But my hyper reality sense, that I've seen so much fake reality, that was more real to me than actually seeing a robot in the correct light. And I
right.
think that is kind of subtle, and it could be dangerous, especially if the fake reality is something that we prefer to the real reality.
Completely.
That
And
could be dangerous.
in that landscape, given the YouTube algorithm or any social media algorithm works, it has like this rabbit hole thing, like right? Like if you search for like cats, then you're going to see cats everywhere in your feed. And if someone searches for something that is just generated and that is not even true, then that person is going to live in the reality which is not even real. And
Yeah,
a lot of people are not even like trying to talk with each other just like old times. They're just within themselves. They have their own narrative. They think that they have their own worldview, and that is only right thing, that whatever they see online, that is the world outside. And that's a really scary thought to have, because if people are going to live in the imaginary fake worlds and that's what they're going to think as reality, then that's going to be completely different world to live in.
exactly. And yeah, and that's why I think curiosity is such an important thing
Really big thing. Yeah,
to push for. Stay curious.
right. So what
And I
does
guess, I mean, this podcast idea of yours is really um, putting the head on the nail when it comes to curiosity, right? The
right?
thing
Yeah.
that drives you
The
here is
whole
finding new
idea behind the
narratives
podcast
and
is like being curious and learning new things.
yeah,
What
yeah,
are they?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So final thought: what does responsible distribution mean in 2025?
When it comes to resources and how people should survive and things like that, yeah, that's a tricky question. Um, uh, I think that every person is valuable, um, and I think we are connected, so we have to take care of everyone. I think it's very important for democracy to have a safety net for people that encounters accidents or make mistakes. It should be costly to make mistakes, but you shouldn't end your life. So I think that's a core infrastructure of a working democracy, that you should have healthcare and help if you fall down. Someone should pick you up, because otherwise, why build the society? Um, so that, I think, is an important part. Then how do you reward people um, in when you have AI to do a lot of things? I think it's a very complex question. with men bottoms. As a political member of the Pirate Party, I have distinct ideas on what property should be and should not be, um, and that's a very long and deep political discussion, I think. I don't have a single answer to that, but that's something we need to work on together, I think.
Right. So yeah, that was basically all the questions I had for today. I'm really grateful for you to taking your time out for talking with me, and yeah, I learned some new things today, and I hope the audience benefits from our conversation as well. And I
I
will.
want to take this opportunity to apologize for my bad English. It has been a really warm day, and I'm a bit tired, but I hope you can understand
That's
what
all
I'm
good.
saying.
Yeah, people will understand everything that you are saying, and yeah, perfect. So, uh, lastly, I'll ask where people, if people want to reach you and have their doubts about anything, then where they can reach you.
LinkedIn is fine, I think, or Facebook.
All right,
Just toss a friend request.
all right, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for joining our talk, and
Yeah, thank you, and
maybe
I hope we will talk more.
for sure, we'll talk more for sure. All right,
Cheers. Have a nice day.
have a nice day.